Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Manie Libbok or Handre Pollard? What do the Springboks do at fly-half? That's what I'm going to talk about in this video. I'm also going to look back on the Romania game a little bit, throw it head to Ireland as well. I haven't had a chance quite yet to properly get into the Springboks over the weekend, so I thought I'd use the opportunity now. I've got back into London in the studio as well, so in slightly different surroundings. So make sure you drop a comment down below. How do you see Jacques Nienaber and Rassie Erasmus using Handre Pollard, how he fits into the team, when we might see him start, if we'll see him start? I think it's a really fascinating talking point for South Africa, who've been so good to start the World Cup. Also, your thoughts on that heavy win over Romania, and also looking ahead to Ireland. I cannot wait to be in Paris for that one. So drop a comment down below, like the video and subscribe to the channel as well. But let's get straight into it. And in particular, let's start off with the Romania game, because I was in Nice over the weekend, so I was watching this game in the fan park there, and I mean, what was it? It was like 24-0 after 11 minutes, and I was sitting there with mates, and we were thinking, this could be a 100-pointer. This could be a century of points for South Africa. In the end, it wasn't that heavy, but it was still a ridiculously comprehensive, impressive scoreline. They rotated their squad. At scrum half, they were brilliant. Kobus Ranek, absolutely sensational. Makazole Mapimpi comes back in and was very good as well. It was a nightmare for my fantasy team. I had Dwayne Vermeulen, I had Kane and Moody, and those were probably a couple of the guys that had very slightly quieter games. So I suppose you'd say from a South Africa point of view, it's job done, right? We knew they would win this game. They have won this game. They rotated their squad, but they still look impressive. And if actually you look at it over the weekend with France against Uruguay, much closer than people expected. Look at Wales against Portugal, much closer than people expected. The fact that South Africa went out and did what we expected them to do is still something that is noteworthy, because there are teams in this tournament, and maybe, do you know what, Romania aren't one of those, but it's not simply a case of looking at a game on paper and thinking, well, it's definitely going to be this scoreline or that scoreline. So we maybe didn't learn a huge amount about South Africa, but the fact that they still went out and did the job, then I think you've got to give them an element of credit there. And it sets up the weekend brilliantly. I'll come on to the Ireland game. Let's talk about Handre Pollard. We all expected at some point that he might end up in this squad. He has done. He came back for Leicester Tigers in the Premiership Cup over the weekend. That was probably not exactly the competition that is a usual precursor to playing in a World Cup, but he is back with the Springboks. We expected it to happen. The really interesting thing about this is Manie Libbok has been great. He was really good against Scotland. His no-look crossfield kick obviously being shared on social media and people loving it. He has fitted into the game plan that South Africa have been building towards in this World Cup, in having a different type of attacking game plan. He's been a key part of that. But there has still been this question mark over his kicking. Now, he was great against the All Blacks at Twickenham, which was big atmosphere, Friday night game, so he is capable of doing it. But I still think you look at the kicking from tee for the Springboks in this World Cup, it might not be a problem for them at the moment. It might not even be a problem for them in terms of getting out of this pool, even though it's such a difficult group to qualify from. But at some point, I just still feel like you need a more reliable goal kicker, and it makes it such a difficult conversation, because I really like Manie Libbok. I like how he's been playing. I like what we've seen from him in the World Cup so far. But when it comes to a quarter-final or a semi-final, do you need a more reliable goal kicker? Is that where Handre Pollard comes in the games where it becomes more of an arm wrestle? Maybe not. Maybe you stick with Libbok. Maybe you say, this is the way we are going. This is what we are building towards, and we're sticking with the guy that so far seems to be doing the job. Or do you bring Handre Pollard in? I don't think Pollard will come in, certainly to the starting team for Ireland. We might see him on the bench, but then at the same time, Springboks, I'd imagine, will go back to a 6-2 bench split. So you have a scrum half replacement on there, probably, because we see how versatile the scrum halves are in terms of how they use them this weekend. Then do you have to have a fly half or someone like Pollard who doesn't have the kind of variation in where they can be played, like a Willie Leroux or a Willemse? So how they use Pollard will be quite interesting. I don't think he'll start against Ireland, maybe on the bench, but then going forward, some of the other games in the group after that where they've played their two toughest games, whether we see him start and see what happens from there. It's a really interesting discussion, Springbok fans. And I don't mean it as disrespect to Manie Libbok. I've been consistently saying how much I like him, but I just fear that in some of those games, particularly whoever you play in a quarterfinal, if you top the group and you end up playing New Zealand, or if you end up playing France, I wonder whether having a guy who's more reliable from the tee is really important, because Libbok has been inconsistent. Faf and Damien Willemse have been inconsistent. I suppose the flip side to the argument is for Handre Pollard coming in, and he knows that is almost a major reason why he's brought in. That comes with its own sort of pressure as well, which I'm sure he's capable of absorbing. I guess it's a nice headache to have if you're Jacques Nienaber and Rassie Erasmus. So let me know in the comment section down below. Let's get on to the Ireland game. I cannot wait. I'm going to be in Paris on Saturday. I fly in on Friday night. I'll be there for the game on Saturday. And then I'm heading to Lyon for Wales against Australia, which is another huge game for kind of different, well, not different reasons. It's huge in terms of qualification, different in terms of the teams and where they are. Ireland, South Africa, two of the best in the world. This could well be a World Cup final. They're that good. We could see them meet each other in the final again. Wales, Australia is a game where they're not playing great, but what's on the line is absolutely massive. So I'm excited. I'm really excited for this South African team and this Ireland team to go head to head. You can't reduce the game too much, because both of these sides have so many different facets of why they are good. But I still find myself getting drawn into the Ireland's attack, which is just excellent in terms of the setup, what the players know they have to do in the different phases of the attack, the different layers to it, against the ferocity of South Africa, the defence of South Africa. And the Springboks are more than that. Don't get me wrong. They have more than just the tactical kicking, the great set piece, the great defence that we've seen in previous years. But I still think when I look at those teams, that battle and that duel is absolutely fascinating to see how it goes. I think selection's going to be key. I think the set piece is going to be interesting, because they're two good set piece sides, and discipline as well. Ireland a very good side in terms of discipline over the last year or two. Haven't really given away that many penalties. Certainly don't see their players carded too often. That's a sort of thing with the officiating, the bunker system in this World Cup that could be massive. So I'm going to do obviously a big preview later on this week. I'll leave it kind of at a surface level there for now, but let me know what you make of it. How do you see this game going? Who should play 10? Maybe once we get to those later knockout rounds for the Springboks. And what did you make of the Romania performance as well? Always hard to dissect that sort of game, but I think from a South Africa perspective, it's obviously job done, team rotated, and they were able to see off an opposition where there's other good teams in this competition maybe struggling to do so against sides that are perceived to be a little bit weaker. So the Rugby World Cup, the gift that keeps on giving, it's been excellent so far. Can't wait to get back out into France. But drop a comment down below, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.